This is Dr. Prashant, postgraduate, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, ESI Hospital, Bengaluru, from Karnataka, from India. I am presenting a study regarding maternal and fetal outcome in Mullerian uterine anomalies under the guidance of Dr. Srilata, Professor in Obstetrics and Gynecology, ESI Hospital, Bengaluru. Coming to the introduction part, congenital uterine anomalies results from the abnormal formation, fusion, and resorption of the Mullerian ducts during the embryonic period. The incidence varies of about 1 to 10% on unselected populations, and of about 2 to 8% of women undergoing history of infertility, and 5 to 10% of women with miscarriages. Normal development of the female reproductive tract involves a series of complete process which includes differentiation, migration, fusion, and canalization of the Mullerian system. There are various severities of the uterine anomalies that ranges from complete urgencies to different phenotypes. The most common Mullerian anomalies include uterine septum, unicornate uterus, bicornate uterus, and uterine didelphys. These abnormalities can be diagnosed using a combination of ultrasound, hysteroscopic, and/or laparoscopy. While Mullerian anomalies can be successfully diagnosed using three-dimensional ultrasound. Normal pregnancies can occur in a patients with a Mullerian duct anomalies, but obstetric complications such as spontaneous abortion, stillbirth, preterm premature rupture of membrane, and breech presentation and cesarean sections. Coming to material and methods, it is a retrospective study conducted in our hospital from January 2018 to December 2020. It includes all pregnant women who were diagnosed to have a Mullerian uterine anomalies antenatal and intraoperatively during cesarean section are included in this study. The cases were traced from labor room register, and the medical records of the cases were collected from various parameters like demographic characteristics, parity, gestational age, antenatal complications, mode of delivery, birth weight, NICU admissions. Data were analyzed using the SPSS version of 10. Inclusion criteria: all pregnant women admitted and managed at ESI Hospital, Bengaluru during the study period were included in this study. Results: among the total cases, like 9,260 deliveries, 64 cases were diagnosed as uterine Mullerian anomalies, where incidence is about 0.960%. Among that, majority includes 26 to 30 age groups, and least of about less than 20 years is about 1.56%. In relation to distribution of parity, among the total cases were 64, in that primary is about 53%, corresponds to 34 cases, and multi 30 cases corresponds to 47%. Distribution in relation to the gestational age, the most common gestational age group are in this 38 to 40 weeks is about 51 to 56%, and least is 32 to 35% of about 4 cases correspond to 6.25%. In relation to different phenotypes of Mullerian anomalies includes, the most common is bicornate uterus is about 31.2%, response to 20 cases, and arcuate uterus is 28.1%, is corresponds to 18 cases. Separate uterus is 20.3%, is corresponds to 13 cases, and unicornate uterus 18.7% is corresponds to 12 cases, and the least common is uterine didelphys is about 1 cases, corresponds to 1.56%. Percentage in distribution associated comorbidities. The antenatal complications were noted as hypothyroidism in 10 cases, hypertensive disorders in 4 cases, gestational diabetes in 3 cases, and premature rupture of membrane is 3 cases. Anemia and oligohydramnios each have a 5%, corresponding to 14%, and IUGR is also 5 cases corresponding to 14.2%. Coming to distribution in response to presentation, among the total cases, both cephalic and breech presentation is 28 cases, correspond to 43.7%, is in the ratio of 1:1, and the least presentation is oblique, is corresponds to 1 case, is about 1.56%. Coming to the mode of delivery, among the majority of the cases where undergone cesarean section is about 63 cases, corresponds to 98.43, and only one cases among vaginal delivery is corresponds to 1.56%. And in relation to indication of cesarean sections, the most common indication is among the uterine anomalies where these presentation is among 38.9%, and next to is 21 cases is about 35%. Next is least common is severe oligo and fetoplacental insufficiency corresponding to 1.69%. And in relation to birth weight, the most common birth weight of uterine anomalies deliveries has about 2.5 to 3 kgs is about 40.62%, and very least is less than 1.5 is about 2 cases, 2 babies have percentage of 3.1%. Coming to discussion part, the incidence of Mullerian uterine anomalies as I discussed earlier is corresponds to 0.69%. Similar incidence was reported by Ann Judd et al. Is 1 to 10%. The most common uterine anomalies were noted is for bicornate uterus is about 20%, and next is 18 cases and 18 cases. When examining the various types of uterine anomalies, our most common findings was observed is bicornate uterus, and the second most common was septate uterus. The distribution reflects the which NAM reported among the fertile women. However, the incidence of uterine didelphys was very least percent is corresponds to 1 and is 1 cases in the study group. The similar than the reported in other studies also. A laparotomy or laparoscopy is more appropriate for distinguishing the bicornate from the septate uterus. In the current study, all of our uterine anomalies were diagnosed by antenatal assessment, and majority were during the surgical procedures like cesarean section. Compared with a woman with a normal uterus, the woman with a uterine anomalies associated with a preterm birth and preterm premature rupture of membrane, breech presentation, severe IUGR and the cesarean section. In our study, shows the most of the cases have undergone the cesarean section as about 63 cases corresponds to 98.4%, and the majority is due to malpresentation is corresponds to cephalic presentation. Our 4 etiological theories have explained what is the most malpresentation. In regard to the first one is abnormal anatomy of the uterus, which prevents the correct rotation of the fetus to cephalic presentation. The second one is abnormal uterine blood flow, which caused by an absent or abnormal uterine or ovarian artery might explain the fetal growth restriction. And third one is cervical incompetence, and last one is diminished muscle mass of the hemiuterus. Furthermore, studies were revealed the significant increased rate of the hypothyroidism in 10 cases. And in our study, found the increased risk of growth restriction even after treating the underlying cause. Somehow, hypothesized that abnormal uterine blood flow and decreased muscle mass may be the culprits behind the growth restriction related to uterine anomalies. Uterine anomalies can be differentiated among the American Society of Fertility can be divided the uterine anomalies into major 7 classes. In that first one is Mullerian agenesis or hypoplasia. In that again we can divide it to vaginal hypoplasia, agenesis, cervical, fundal, tubal are combined. And next one is unicornate uterus, and next is uterine didelphys, bicornate uterus, septate uterus, it may be complete or partial, arcuate uterus or diethal exposite uterus. In our study, primary gravida patients were 53% and higher incidence of uterine anomalies as compared to our multigravid patients as about 47%. Most of the uterine anomalies are asymptomatic and diagnosed in the primary gravida patients. Patients in the uterine anomalies group had significantly low mean birth weight and a significantly higher incidence of short spot gestational age, low and a very low birth weight on those with a normal uterus. Patients with a normal uterus had significantly higher incidence of large spot gestational age neonates than the patients with the uterine anomalies group. Coming to the last conclusion part, the preterm deliveries and malpresentations, low birth weight, small for gestational age babies is more in women with the congenital uterine anomalies as compared to its occurrence in a normal populations. Hence, it can be concluded that the congenital uterine anomalies is a risk factor for preterm deliveries, low birth weight deliveries, and malpresentations. This could be used as a basis for recommended screening for uterine anomalies in a woman with a history of recurrent pregnancy loss and previous small for gestational age baby or malpresentation in a previous pregnancies. Hence, it can be concluded that the presence of congenital uterine anomalies has adverse effect on obstetrical outcome and recommended the need for universal prenatal screening for uterine anomalies so as to improve the obstetrical outcome in a patient with the uterine anomalies. Coming to the last bibliography. Thank you.